SLT Mobitel, the connection. SLT Mobitel, the connection.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, long delayed. Bond scam culprits ex-finance minister Ravi Karunanayake and Perpetual Treasury's directors remanded until the 23rd of March. Revealing connections. Public Security Minister says Azad Sali detention primarily for Easter attack links, with more charges to follow.
Azad Sali has been arrested under PTA. The reason is his alleged involvement in the Easter Sunday attack. There are series of reasons, starting with this Mavanella incident.
Don't relax just yet. The public warned against resting on their laurels this new year and urged to continue with safety precautions. Remembering greatness. Sri Lanka marks 25 years since revolutionizing cricket at the 1996 World Cup. All this and much more coming up on this Wednesday, the 17th of March 2021.
ඇල්කොහොල් අඩංගු hand sanitizer භාවිත කරන්න. ලෙඩ රෝග ඇති කරනු විෂ බීජවලට එරෙහිව සටන් කරන්න. හඳුන්වා දීමේ මිල රුපියල් 350යි.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Shanella Fernando in your top stories for tonight. Following indictments being served by the Attorney General's Department against former Minister Ravi Karunanayake and 11 others in connection with the 2016 Central Bank bond scam, the case was taken up before a 3-member trial at bar today, with the Attorney General's Department objecting to any chance of bail for the main suspects due to charges being filed under the Public Properties Act. The former minister's counsel insisted in court that his client has never evaded court. However, the bench, after a lengthy deliberation, ordered Karunanayake, Perpetual Treasury's owners Jeffrey and Arjun Aloysius and CEO Kasun Palisena to be remanded until the 23rd of this month.
The Attorney General filed indictments against former Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake and 11 others on 32 counts of criminal misappropriation amounting to 36.89 billion rupees at a bond auction held on March 29, 2016. With that, the case was taken up today before a 3-member bench consisting of Colombo High Court judges Damit Totavarta, Manjula Tilakratna and Mohammad Isadeen. Apart from former Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake, the other accused in the case are Jeffrey Aloysius and Arjun Aloysius, the owners of Perpetual Treasuries, former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran, Perpetual Treasury CEO Kasun Palisena, PTL directors Ranjan Hulgalla and Muthuraja Surendran, as well as Central Bank employees S. Padumanaban, Indika Saman Kumara and Ajan Gadia Punchiheva. Of the accused, former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran, the third accused in the case, and Ajan Gadia Punchiheva, the ninth accused, did not appear in court today. The Criminal Investigation Department told court that the 2 absentee accused could not be served summons as they were not in the country. With that, charge sheets were read out to the other accused present in court. Deputy Solicitor General Haripriya Jayasundara, appearing for the Attorney General, told court that the Attorney General's approval is essential for granting bail to the accused in such a case under Section 456 of the Criminal Procedure Code. The Deputy Solicitor General pointed out that the underlying crime in this case had caused severe damage to the national economy as well as to the lives of the general public. The Deputy Solicitor General also pointed out that the court should not grant bail to the accused as they have been charged under the Public Properties Act. The Deputy Solicitor General also pointed out that the case has caused a great deal of public dissatisfaction and that the public continues to demand that those involved in the crime be punished. The Deputy Solicitor General also told court that on this basis, the Attorney General cannot agree to the release of the suspects on bail. In response, President's Counsel Shavindra Fernando, appearing for former Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake, stated that his client has never evaded court. The President's Counsel also stated that the Attorney General's current pastime seems to be to arrest people and requested that his client be released on bail as there is no justifiable reason to remand him. After a lengthy deliberation, the 3-judge panel remanded former Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake, Perpetual Treasury beneficiaries owners Jeffrey Aloysius, Arjun Aloysius and its Chief Executive Officer Kasun Palisena until March 23rd.
Former governor of the Western Province and the leader of the National Unity Front, Azad Sali, who was arrested last evening, is currently being detained and interrogated under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. The arrest comes on the heels of his controversial statement where he stated that the country's law will not apply to the Muslim community. However, speaking to First at 9, Minister of Public Security Rear Admiral Dr. Sarath Veerasekara stated that Sali was arrested over his alleged involvement in the Easter attacks. Meanwhile, at the time of the arrest, CID officers also found a foreign manufactured pistol hidden under the driver's seat of the former governor's vehicle. Former governor of the Western Province, Azad Sali, was arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department last evening on the instructions of the Attorney General. Speaking to First at 9, Minister of Public Security Rear Admiral Dr. Sarath Veerasekara clarified that Sali has been detained under provisions of the Prevention of Terrorism Act for his alleged involvement in the Easter attacks.
Former Governor Azad Sali has been arrested under PTA, not under ICCPR. And he is kept under detention order. The reason is his alleged involvement in the Easter Sunday attack. There are series of reasons, starting with this Mavanella incident. When Mavanella Buddha statues were destroyed by two Muslim youth, when the police were trying to arrest them, Azad Sali volunteered to submit them to the police, and he never did that, and followed by certain other reasons. Our investigations are continuing from the day this Easter Sunday attack occurred. And in the process of these investigations, when we collect substantial amount of evidence in certain individuals, we arrest them under PT and then keep them under detention order and start questioning them. But also I must say that his controversial statement which he has made, when you say I only adhere to Sharia law and I don't adhere to the Sri Lankan law, it will definitely lead to religious extremism, because extremists in this type of incident, they also believe that these statements then pave way for religious extremism and it leads to terrorism. That statement also can be contributed to be arrested under PTA. So this is what happened to Azad Sali, who we think is directly or indirectly involved in this Easter Sunday attack.
The Presidential Commission report on the Easter attacks has concluded that Azad Sali should not have intervened in the Mavanella Buddha statue vandalism case. The Commission has also recommended that any interference in the detention of terror suspects in police custody or those under detention orders can be considered a criminal offence and therefore is a punishable act. Meanwhile, at the time of his arrest, CID officers have also found a foreign-made pistol hidden under the driver's seat of a vehicle belonging to the former Western Province governor.
ඔහු අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීමෙන් අනතුරුව ඔහුගේ මෝටර් රථය පරීක්ෂා කිරීමේදී එය තුළ තිබී විදේශීය රටක නිෂ්පාදිත පිස්තෝල වර්ගයේ ගිනි අවයක් සොයාගෙන තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඊට අදාළ එක් පතරුම් ගැබක් නැත්නම් මැගසින් එකක් සහ උණ්ඩ 9ක්ද සොයාගෙන තිබෙන බවට වාර්තා වෙනවා. අදාළ ගිනි අවිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව පරීක්ෂණ සිදු කරනු ලබනවා.
Sri Lanka's best health insurance with the fastest claim settlement. Soft Logic Life.
Pay just 500,000 rupees to reserve your unit today. Mulberry Residence.
On this day 25 years ago, Sri Lanka won the coveted Cricket World Cup, defeating Australia, who were the favourites to win the contest in 1996. Unfortunately, since that memorable World Cup win, Sri Lanka has failed to win a single ODI World Cup, despite contesting in 2 World Cup finals, one in 2007 and the other in 2011. Today, in commemoration, we take a walk down memory lane to a time we wish could be relived.
1996 ලෝක කුසලානේ ජයග්‍රහණය කරාට ඒක රෑකින් සතියකින් වෙච්ච දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. අපි 94 විතර ඉඳලා අපි සැලසුම් කරගෙන ආවා. අලුත් අත්හදා බැලීම් කරා. විශේෂයෙන්ම සනත් ජයසූරිය, කළු විතාරණ වගේ අයව ආරම්භක පිටිකරුවෝ හැටියට යොදවලා
මේ ලෝක කුසලාන්ට ඉස්සෙල්ලා කවදාවත් හිතුවෙත් නැහැ ජයග්‍රහණය කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. අපි හැබැයි හිතුවා අපිට හොඳ කණ්ඩායමක් ඉන්නවා අපිට මේක කරගන්න පුළුවන්.
ඉතින් ලෝක කුසලාන්ට යද්දී ගොඩක් අය කතා කරේ යුද්ධ ගැන, ක්‍රිකට් වලින් අපි ලෝකයට යම්කිසි විදියකට වෙනසක් අපිට පෙන්වන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක ඔළුවේ තිබුණා.
95 ඔස්ට්‍රේලියාවේ ගිය වෙලේ අපිට වෙච්ච ප්‍රශ්නත් එක්ක අපිට සලකපු හැටිත් එක්ක ඔස්ට්‍රේලියාව එන්න බැහැ කිව්වා මෙහි ක්‍රීඩා කරන්න. මේ ඔක්කොම අපේ යටි අදහස්වල තිබුණා. කොහොම හරි මේක ජයග්‍රහණය කරනවා කියන තත්ත්වයට ක්‍රීඩකයෝ ආවා ඔස්ට්‍රේලියානු කණ්ඩායම එනකොට.
මට මතකයි අර්ජුන අයියා ට්‍රෝෆි එකත් අරගෙන චෙක් එකත් අරගෙන අපි ඔක්කොම අරගෙන එනවා. එනකොට අර්ජුන අයියා මෙහෙම කළා ට්‍රෝෆි එකත් එක්ක වැටුණා. වැටුණා අපි ඔක්කොම පෙරළුණා. වැටුණාම මට මතකයි අර්ජුන කෑ ගහනවා මේ ගුරා මේ චෙක් එක ඉස්සුවා කිව්වා. ඒක ගුරුසිංහ කිව්වා චෙක් එක ඉස්සුවට කමන්නේ කප් එක බදාගන්න කියලා. ඉතින් අදටත් මම දන්නේ නැහැ චෙක් එක කීයක් තිබුණාද කියලා. කප් එක තමයි අපිට කප් තමයි අදටත් අපේ පළවෙනි දේ.
අනුවායව සුපරිනේ. ඔය මැච් එක 10 පාරක්වත් බලලා තියෙන්නේ.
ඒ වගේ කණ්ඩායමක් ආපහු ලංකාවේ බිහිවෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා තමයි අපිට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ. ඒ දවස්වල ක්‍රිකට් නම් අගය කරනවා. දැන් ක්‍රිකට් අගය කරනවා.
More news on the other side of this break. Stay tuned.
Sunlight Care Naturals. ඔබේ ඇඳුම් care කරයි.
Welcome back. In more news, former AdaDerana Trust investment directors Jeevaka AdaDerana, Anjali AdaDerana, Asanka AdaDerana and Nalaka AdaDerana, who were arrested on charges of money laundering yesterday, were produced in court today. The former directors are currently in the custody of the Criminal Investigation Department for further questioning.
Former Swarna Mahal Financial Services directors Jeevaka AdaDerana, Anjali AdaDerana, Asanka AdaDerana and Nalaka AdaDerana were first arrested by the CID on January 6 this year in connection with a statutory offence related to the company. However, the four suspects were released on bail the same day after being produced before the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court. However, the four suspects were produced before the Fort Magistrate again on the 12th of January on charges relating to financial misappropriation that took place at AdaDerana Trust Investments, another company under their purview. However, once again, Colombo Chief Magistrate Mohammad Mihar ordered the suspects to be released on bail on January 15th. In this backdrop, the four former Swarna Mahal Jewellers Private Limited directors were re-arrested yesterday on the instructions of the Attorney General under money laundering charges. Following their arrests, the four suspects were transported to the Criminal Investigation Department for questioning. Meanwhile, the suspects were produced before the Colombo Fort Magistrate this afternoon by CID officers.
The Colombo District Court has announced today that a decision on whether a permanent injunction will be issued against MTV Private Limited from broadcasting defamatory news targeting George Stewart Health, its senior executives and chairman Dilip Jaivira will be announced on the 7th of May. Further, the court also extended the existing enjoining order against the news channel until the 7th of May.
George Stewart Health filed action in November last year against MTV Private Limited Sirasa News First, a news outlet owned by Rajendran Rajamahendran's Capital Maharaja Group, for defamatory news items carried by the channel on the 11th, 13th, 16th and 19th of November with regards to the importation of COVID-19 rapid antigen test kits. The plaintiff alleged that the defendant had intentionally broadcast mischievously fabricated, factually incorrect news designed with malice to mislead the public and defame George Stewart Health as well as the company's chairman. The enjoining order, issued in November and extended on several occasions since then, prevents Sirasa News First from broadcasting news reports deemed defamatory against the company and its chairman Dilip Jaivira. With that, lawyers for both parties filed their written submissions in court today on the plaintiff's request for a permanent injunction to be issued against Sirasa MTV. Judge Aruna Aludgay, who heard the written submissions, announced that the decision on whether a permanent injunction will be issued will be announced on the 7th of May. Accordingly, the judge ordered the extension of the enjoining order imposed on Sirasa News First until the 7th of May.
As Sri Lanka nears the new festive season, Army Commander General Shavendra Silva says that only responsible public behaviour during the time can help to maintain the country's status quo of low COVID-19 cases. He also revealed that changes will be made to the mandatory quarantine period for Sri Lankans arriving from abroad within the next few weeks. With the onset of the first wave of COVID-19 in March last year, Sri Lankans celebrated the Sinhala and Tamil New Year behind closed doors after the government imposed an island-wide lockdown. These restrictions were key in Sri Lanka successfully controlling the spread of virus cases in the country at a time when many countries struggled. 1 year on, however, with the entire country now facing the second wave of COVID-19, the situation is more or less under control, with significantly lower daily cases being reported. However, health officials are still concerned that this situation may change if the public don't stick to health and safety precautions during this year's New Year celebrations. Speaking to the media today, Chief of National Operations Centre for Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva says that guidelines will be issued next week to address the issue.
වැඩිම කොවිඩ් ආසාදිතයන් හමුුණේ ජනවාරි පෙබරවාරි මාසවල. ඒක උත්සව සමයේ අපගේ තිබිච්ච ක්‍රියාකාරකම් බලපෑවා කියන මතය වෛද්‍ය විශේෂඥවරුන්ගේ තිබෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒක හින්දා මේ පාර එවැනිම තත්ත්වයක් නැතිවුවත් පුරුදු පරිදි කරන උත්සව යම්කිසි තාක් දුරට අවම කරගෙන කරගන්න හැකියාවක් තිබෙනවා නම් රටේ ඉදිරි මාස කීපය වැදගත් වෙයි කියලා අපිට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එසේ නැතිනම් අපි අර 2020ට ප්‍රථම පුරුදු වෙලා තියෙන විදියට උත්සව සමරන්න ගියොත් යම්කිසි වෙනසක් ඇති වෙන්නත් හැකියාවක් තිබෙනවා. ඒ අනුව අවශ්‍ය සෞඛ්‍යමය උපදෙස් ඉදිරි සතිය තුල දෙක තුලදී ජනතාව වෙත ලබා දීමට කටයුතු කරනු ලබනවා.
Further, the Army Commander also revealed that mandatory quarantine requirements will also be revised in relation to vaccinated Sri Lankan expatriate returnees.
පිටරටවලින් එන සියලුම ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන්ගේ නිරෝධායන කාල සීමාව වෙනසක් කරන්න කියලා අපි ඉල්ලීමක් කරා මීට දින 10කට ප්‍රථම නිරෝධායන ක්‍රියාවලියේදී කරන ලබන දින ගණන් වෙනස් වීමකට ලක්වීමට හැකියාවක් තිබෙනවා. සෞඛ්‍ය අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජෙනරාල්වරයා විසින් මේ පිළිබඳව දැනුම් දෙයි. ඊට අමතරව එන්නත් දෙකෙන්ම ලබා ගත්තන් පස්සේ දින 14ක කාල සීමාවකින් පස්සේ එනවනම් බොහෝ දුරට ඔවුන්ට නිරෝධායනකින් තොරව PCR පරීක්ෂණයෙන් පසුව යන ක්‍රමවේදයක් පිළිබඳව උපදෙස් ලබා
Meanwhile, commenting on the country's vaccination program, State Minister of COVID Disease Control, Dr. Sudarshini Fernando Pillai, revealed that the country is expecting to receive batches of the Russian Sputnik 5 vaccine soon, which will have no age limit restrictions.
ස්පුට්නික් එන්නත ලබා ගැනීම කෙරෙහිත් අවධානය යොමු කරලා තියෙනවා. මේ ස්පුට්නික් එන්නත විශේෂයෙන්ම වැඩිහිටියන්ට නිර්දේශ වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. ඒ වගේම නිදාන්ගත රෝග තියෙන අයට නිර්දේශ වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. නිසා 30 ඉඳලා උඩට අපිට මේ එන්නත ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඔක්ස්ෆර්ඩ් ඇස්ට්‍රාසෙනිකා එන්නත ලබාගත් අය අතර සම්ප්‍රේෂණය 67%කින් අඩු වෙලා තියෙන බව තහවුරු වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, 12,292 people were immunized against COVID-19 yesterday, bringing the total number to receive the first dose as of last evening to 796,792.
After the second wave started, now we got the minimum number of cases reporting every day. So this is a very good progress, I would say. We have achieved this through tremendous work. Now we have embarked on a program where we immunize only those who are at age 60 and above. That's simply because they are at the highest risk of dying from COVID.
Meanwhile, during the course of yesterday, 286 infections, including 274 from 16 districts and 12 foreign arrivals, were reported island-wide. In the district breakdown, 94 infections were reported from Gampaha, 59 from Colombo, 26 from Kalutara, 20 from Ratnapura, 17 from Putlam, 15 each from Gaul and Badulla, and 7 from Batticaloa. The remaining 8 districts accounted only for 21 infections. Meanwhile, the island-wide caseload for the day so far stands at 322. In the meantime, 3 more deaths were reported today, bringing the total number of COVID-19 fatalities to 537. On the recoveries front, 354 more COVID-19 patients recovered and were discharged from hospitals during the day. This brings the total number of recoveries so far to 85,725. Further, that leaves the number of active cases to 2,584. Welcome back in more news. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has spoken to the President of Egypt, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, yesterday on strengthening bilateral ties in many spheres, including in economic cooperation and international fora. Further, the Egyptian head of state also expressed his government's excitement in furthering ties between the two countries.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa spoke with Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi over the phone yesterday with the aim of further strengthening the cordial relationship that exists between the two countries. During the cordial dialogue, both the heads of states discussed ways to promote bilateral cooperation between the two countries. President Gotabaya expressed pride in the distinguished relations Sri Lanka has always had with Egypt and also stressed the importance the country attaches to strengthening bilateral relations in all fields as well as at various international fora. President al-Sisi also affirmed that Egypt welcomes all efforts to intensify cooperation with Sri Lanka at international fora. He also expressed the country's excitement in strengthening bilateral economic cooperation, including in joint investments. What's more, discussions also focused on efforts to exchange multifaceted experiences between the two countries, including in combating COVID-19 and strengthening coordination and cooperation on anti-terrorism efforts. Further, President Gotabaya also praised Egypt's efforts to combat terrorism internally and regionally, as well as initiatives taken by the country to counter extremist ideologies.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that steps will be taken in the future to provide insurance schemes for both film and teledrama actors and actresses affected by the COVID-19 downturn. The Premier made these comments when addressing an event to hand over insurance cover schemes to stage drama actors yesterday. The launch of an accident and medical insurance scheme for stage drama actors was worked off yesterday under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Accordingly, the insurance cover provides 200,000 rupees in the event of death, 600,000 rupees in case of accidental death, 400,000 rupees for disability and 300,000 rupees for critical illnesses.
දෙවෙනි කොවිඩ් වසන්තගතය හැමුවේ නැවත සියලු කලාකරුවන් බිඳවැටුණු අවස්ථාවක ඔවුන්ගේ ජීවන තත්ත්වය ඉතාමත් පහත් තත්ත්වයකට බිඳවැටුණා. එවැනි අවස්ථාවක මේ රක්ෂාවරණය හඳුන්වා දෙමින් නාට්‍යවේදීන් 500ක් සඳහා රජයේ සම්පූර්ණ වියදමින් මෙම රක්ෂණවරණය අපිට හඳුන්වා දෙන්නට ලැබීම අපි ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම සන්තෝෂ වෙනවා. රජය විසින් රක්ෂණ වියදම් ගෙවල් ලබා දෙන මෙම ප්‍රේක්ෂා රක්ෂණ වාරය ලබා දෙන්නේ ලංකා ඉතිහාසයේ පළමු වතාවට වගේම ටෙලිනාට්‍ය හා සිනමා ශිල්පීන්ටද ඉදිරියේදී මෙවැනි රක්ෂණවරණයක් හඳුන්වා දීම අප කටයුතු කරන බවද සිහිපත් කරනවා.
Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and Pakistan's High Commissioner in Colombo, Major General Mohammad Saad Khattak, held discussions yesterday on expediting avenues of bilateral cooperation agreed upon during the recent state visit by Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan. Pakistani envoy also issued an invitation to members of the Buddhist clergy, journalists and academics to undertake familiarization visits to Pakistan to witness the diversity of its well-preserved Buddhist heritage sites.
Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena has met with Pakistan's High Commissioner, Major General Mohammad Saad Khattak, at the Foreign Ministry yesterday in a continuation of discussions on expanding avenues of bilateral cooperation following the recent state visit by Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan. During the meeting, both sides agreed to expeditiously implement projects announced during the visit of Prime Minister Imran Khan, including the setting up of mobile libraries donated by Pakistan and the offer of an additional 100 medical scholarships to Sri Lankan students. Foreign Minister Gunawardena, while welcoming the offer by Pakistan to open Buddhist pilgrim sites for Sri Lankans, also announced that the country's aviation sector, along with Sri Lanka tourism, would announce Pakistan-Sri Lanka travel packages soon. The Pakistan High Commissioner also invited Buddhist monks, journalists and academics to undertake familiarization visits to Pakistan to witness the diversity of its well-preserved Buddhist heritage sites. High Commissioner Khattak also extended an invitation to Foreign Minister Gunawardena to attend the Pakistan National Day celebrations on 23rd March in Colombo.
In business news, according to a report by the Department of Census and Statistics, Sri Lanka's 2020 GDP performance recorded a shrinkage by 3.6% in comparison with 2.3% growth in 2019. Despite the effect of the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the country recorded a slight recovery in the third quarter, leading to positive growth of 1.3% in the economy.
The Department of Census and Statistics has released the estimated gross domestic product for the fourth quarter of 2020 and for the year 2020 as a whole. The report says that due to the spread of the COVID-19 virus in the country from March 2020 and the global spread from since the last quarter of 2019, Sri Lanka's first quarter GDP estimates recorded a low negative growth of 1.8%. Further, in the second quarter of 2020, with the countrywide lockdown in effect, especially in the Colombo and Gampha districts, many economic sectors of the country recorded negative growth, leading to the economy falling by 16.4%. However, the country recorded a slight recovery in the third quarter after the first wave was brought under control and business activities returned to some semblance of normalcy. This led to positive growth of 1.3% in the economy, the first positive sign for the year. However, despite the second wave hitting the country in the fourth quarter, the continuation of business activities resulted in 1.3% growth in the period as well. Based on this data, the GDP growth rate for 2020 recorded a shrinkage by 3.6% in comparison with the 2.3% growth in 2019. Gross domestic product for the year 2020 at a constant price has been recorded at 9,530,606 rupees, marginally down from 9,883,350 rupees in 2019. In addition, Sri Lanka's 2020 gross domestic product at current price has been recorded at 14,972,995 rupees from 15,012,953 rupees in the previous year.
The Export Development Board has set an export target of $230 million for the Japanese market this year, and it says that a plan of action has been developed to achieve that target. It also says that 4 specific high potential products, namely value-added black tea, solid tires, t-shirts and pepper, have been earmarked to be promoted in the Japanese market over the next 3 years. The Sri Lanka Export Development Board says that it has taken steps to promote identified Sri Lankan export products with high potential in the Japanese market for the next 3 years in collaboration with the Sri Lanka Embassy in Japan. The EDB says that a strategy paper has been done for the Japanese market and 4 specific products, value-added black tea, solid tires, t-shirts, singlets and pepper were identified as focus products that have high potential in the Japanese market. Strategies, it said, were formulated accordingly to promote these products in Japan during the period of 2021 to 2023 on short, medium and long-term basis. As part of the initiative, the first sectoral meeting for solid tires had been conducted on the 3rd of March with all stakeholders, including private sector companies who are currently exporting solid tires to the international market. The EDB said that based on the discussion, the Embassy and the EDB will develop a proper mechanism to increase Sri Lanka's solid tire exports to the Japanese market and implement the plan of action during the 2021 to 2023 period. Japan was the 12th largest export destination for Sri Lankan products, generating $188 million in export income in 2020. The EDB has set a $230 million export target in 2021 for the Japanese market, and it noted that a plan of action has been developed accordingly to achieve this target. With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining. I'm Shanella Fernando. Have a good night.